Hey everyone, how's it going? Jason from Dropshipping University come back at you guys with a brand new episode. In today's episode, I have a raw, uncut version of my phone call today with eBay merchant support. I'm live on the phone with an account rep, and I asked some really important questions related to their dropshipping policy, more specifically about wholesale agreements, exclusivity to sell brands, and the rep was actually pretty knowledgeable about the dropshipping topic in general. So we get the information straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. If this is something that interests you guys, stay tuned. Watch the whole thing. There's a lot of tidbits of information that he drops, a lot of questions that a lot of us have been wondering after they updated their dropshipping policy about a year ago. So stay tuned. And also, if you guys could take a second to like this video, comment below. I will answer all of the comments below, and make sure to subscribe to this channel because nobody out there is putting out this type of content with live recordings from eBay. So if you guys like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell notification because that's the only way that you guys will be able to get updates every time I put out a new video. So without further ado, check out this live recording with eBay.
And how can I help out today?
So I was wondering, I just had a couple of questions related to product sourcing and fulfillment, and I was hoping you could help me out with that.
Sure. What questions did you have for me?
So I came across the eBay's dropshipping policy page, and I had some questions related to that. So I was just, first of all, I was wondering, could you tell me a little bit more about the dropshipping policy, what is allowed and what isn't allowed, just so I have a better idea?
Yeah, definitely. Generally, what we look for is you do have to have some type of contract or something drawn up with the drop shipper that shows that you guys have an agreement that they're going to fulfill your orders. As long as you have something like that or an agreement made with the drop shipper, from what I understand, that's okay.
Okay, so as long as we have a contract with the supplier, then that's completely acceptable. It's within the eBay terms of service.
Correct. Yeah. What we're trying to avoid is people, for example, unfortunately, we've seen this quite a bit where people who have, like Amazon Prime, for example, will put up listings for Amazon items, and then a customer will purchase the item on eBay, and then the seller will use their Amazon account and then just have the address shipped to that buyer. And that type of situation, that is not okay because there's not a guarantee that Amazon's going to be able to fulfill that order. As well as if something goes wrong, then the buyer can be out of luck because then they can't deal directly with the seller. They'd have to deal with Amazon, but it's not that buyer's Amazon account. So what we look for is as long as you have some type of agreement or contract that's been drawn up between you and that or the supplier.
Okay. And, well, that's a good situation. I'm happy you brought that up because what would be the difference of using a supplier like Amazon versus a supplier who has a contract written up? Is it just the fact that there's a legal binding agreement between the two parties, whereas with Amazon, there's no real legal binding agreement between the two parties?
Correct. Amazon, in the situation where we don't have an agreement or some type of contract that has been drawn up, Amazon wouldn't have any obligation to the buyer. It would be all the seller, and so it puts the buyer in a difficult situation if they have to open up a claim or an agreement. Whereas if you guys have a contract drawn up with that supplier also has a vested interest in getting the item and fulfilling the buyer's order.
Right. That makes a lot more sense. So that wholesale agreement or just a drop shipping agreement is really what we need to have in order to successfully drop ship on eBay. Is that correct?
That is correct. And I have another really good example for you. We actually have a gentleman who works here in the office, and he has a supplier in Mexico that provides boots. And so he has an agreement with them. So if there's a return or if there's an exchange, what happens is the buyer, instead of sending it to the seller, the buyer just sends it directly to the warehouse or the wholesaler, and then they send the buyer the replacement. And that's because they have that contract drawn up with the seller. They have that agreement made so that if there is a return or an exchange, the buyer can send it directly to the wholesaler and get the item replaced or exchanged.
Okay, that actually clarifies things a lot for me. Now, I just have a couple of quick questions in addition to this, if you don't mind me asking, Louis.
Not at all.
Okay, so what actually would constitute a wholesale agreement with the supplier? Is it exclusivity? Is it just, a general contract written up? What actually constitutes that? And if you could let me know what constitutes it, but in addition to that question, is there any way that I can upload those documents to eBay to supply you guys with that agreement or anything like that just to cover myself?
Good question. Yeah, really, really good question. I myself don't review those documents, so I don't know exactly what they would require. But let me see what I can find out here for you. Give me just a moment.
Sure, no problem. I appreciate it.
Would it be okay if I place you onto just a brief hold, Jason? It shouldn't take me more than a minute or two to get that information here for you.
Sure, no problem.
Sure. So what we would be looking for is we would just be looking for you have a right to sell from that seller or that wholesaler.
Okay.
Right to sell their items. And then unfortunately there's no way that we can ask that you send in the proof. What we look for is we look for a maintained control of the inventory. So that just means that you're having the orders fulfilled within the appropriate amount of time.
Okay. So what does that exactly mean? Like, for example, if we aren't able to fulfill the orders in the stated handling and shipping time, that's going to raise some flags with eBay, and then we could get ourselves into a situation where they would ask us for these agreements with the wholesale supplier. Is that what you mean?
That's right, yes. What they're looking for is that we just have a control over the inventory. The difficult part is you're not the one that's actually fulfilling the orders. We have someone else that's fulfilling the orders. So we just want to make sure that it's not creating a bad experience for the buyers. So we're just looking for that control over the inventory.
Okay. And in the case that eBay did ask for some type of proof of agreement, you're just saying as long as there's some agreement there, we're okay. It doesn't necessarily have to say exclusivity to sell the brand or anything like that.
Correct. Yeah, it doesn't have to state specifically an exclusivity deal or anything like that. What they're looking for is that the wholesaler has given you the right to list their items on the site.
Gotcha. That makes a lot more sense.
Right, so.
And that's a pretty fair question, because some wholesale suppliers will have you as their sole brand ambassador or sole reseller of the brand on a marketplace, whereas some other wholesale distributors allow anybody with a resale license or other documents to sell those products on marketplaces. So that's the reason that I asked that question.
Gotcha. Yeah, absolutely. And that's really what they're looking for. Is unfortunately with drop shipping and wholesalers, we're just looking for a consistent experience for the buyers.
Yeah. Okay. So it seems to me like eBay is more just closely monitoring our seller metrics and making sure that we can keep up with the metrics, as opposed to me being proactive in uploading documents to provide that proof. Is that correct?
I couldn't have put it better myself, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Looking for that control. As long as you're fulfilling the orders and you're not having orders that are not meeting as far as the handling time that you've committed to. What it ultimately boils down to is if a buyer purchases an item, we're going to give them an estimated delivery, and so we just want to make sure that that's being fulfilled.
Sure. At the end of the day, the customer is the most important part of this equation. So I understand fully. Well, thank you so much for clearing those things up, and I appreciate your help today.
Of course. Thanks for calling in today, Jason. I hope you have a nice day.
Sure, you too. Thank you. Bye. All right, guys, so there it is. That was the live conversation I had earlier today with the eBay support rep. That was eBay concierge service. So we got to speak to somebody in America. That guy actually knew what he was talking about for the most part. The answers that he had were pretty clear cut and very insightful. We learned that eBay is really targeting Amazon dropshippers, and he even used that as an example. He didn't mention anything about competition, but we all know at the end of the day that is going to be one of the biggest reasons that eBay doesn't want dropshippers reselling products from big retailers like Lowe's, Home Depot, Amazon, Walmart, etc. But Amazon is definitely the biggest target that they are targeting right now with their dropshipping policy. He also talked about a story of somebody else in their office who is wholesale dropshipping from a supplier in Mexico selling boots. And he talked all about the return process and all of those things that actually show that this is a legitimate way that eBay sees dropshippers as only wholesale dropshipping. They're okay with it. Their own employees are even doing wholesale dropshipping. So one of the things that he mentioned and kept talking about throughout the call was the fact that we need to have an agreement. As long as you have an agreement with the wholesale supplier, you're all set. You have covered yourself. And in the case that eBay asks you to supply invoices and asks you to supply some type of agreement, then you can give them that information if they ever ask for that information. But he's basically telling me that they're using automation and algorithms to monitor that we are able to keep up with the demand and make sure that the buyer is ultimately getting satisfaction on the eBay platform with their purchases through you as the seller. And that's really what they care about. So making sure that you have a wholesale agreement is important in case they ever ask you for one. However, that is not the number one concern. The number one concern is that you're not drop shipping from these major retail suppliers. So if you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and smash that like button. Ask any questions you have below. I will answer them myself, as I always do. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the little bell notification, because as I said earlier, that is the only way that you will be able to get updates every time we put out videos like this. And as I said before too, I am the only one who's putting out these recorded videos on eBay like this. So I would really appreciate the support if you guys could take a second. And with that said, I will see you guys